Okay, we're on to mission 3. This mission will be the longest of all of the 4 missions, and as such, we'll be breaking this down into 5 what we are going to refer to as sprints. Sprint is a term that we use commonly as developers, and it has to do with the agile development process. We'll learn more about that in the future. But you can think of them as kind of individual kind of sub-projects or modules or benchmarks. And so specifically, if we scroll down, you'll see here's the mission project. And this is the mission in which we're going to work with the Finch robot. And we're going to, as I said, have 5 separate projects that interact with the Finch robot in a number of ways. And so just to quickly run through these, there will be specific information on each one of these. You'll see like right here is a video overview of the project, and I'll probably change that to video overview of the Sprint 1 benchmark. And that would be the place to go and look for specific information. But I want to give you kind of a 30,000 foot view of what this mission looks like. So as I said, there are 5 sprints. The first sprint we refer to as the talent show. That's a sprint where you will be just kind of exercising the Finch robot. Finch robot has the ability to generate tones. It has red, green, and blue LEDs that you can control. And it also has motion that you can control. So the focus of that is just simply to kind of test out and see what kinds of things you can do with the Finch's lights, sounds, and action. The following, Sprint 2, it's called Data Recorder down here. And in that case, you will be using the Finch's sensors. Finch has a number of sensors. It has 2 that we'll employ on this one. That is the light sensor and the sound, the audio sensor. Okay, and what you'll do is you'll actually use the Finch as a data recorder. So as an example, you'll write out some code and develop a module that will allow the user to say, I want to capture the 10 readings of temperature, and I want to capture those readings, say, 3 seconds apart. And the Finch will then kind of will then go off and capture those recordings. They'll store them into an array, and you'll be able to display them later on. The next module, it's called Alarm System. And this is a module where you will write a program that will allow the user to use the Finch as an alarm system. And it will use, you'll have some choices in there, but you can use either a temperature sensor, you can use the light sensor, or there's also some motion detection sensors that you can use. And the idea being the user will configure the Finch robot to, as an example, say, monitor the temperature. And so when the temperature gets, as an example, below a given threshold, the Finch robot will indicate that in some fashion, usually lights or sounds or that. Okay. The 4th module we call user programming, and basically what you've been doing all along has been programming the Finch robot using the C# language. Obviously that's not very user-friendly to use that term, and so what you'll be doing here is you'll actually be creating an interface where a user could come in and program a number of activities that the robot can do, program in the ability to measure some sensors in that, and the user will actually be doing that using a menu and user-friendly commands. Okay, so rather than kind of set LED, you'll turn on the red light or something like that. Okay, so you're going to basically make a user-friendly way for the users to get in and program that robot to do the specific tasks that they want it to do. The last one is persistence. Persistence is a fancy word for database or data storage in that. The data persists, it sticks around, so that's where that term comes from. And in this module, you will be finding a way to basically store and to retrieve information. And there's a number of types of information that you can store and retrieve. Very quickly, some of the examples are you could go up here to the, up to data recording, and you could, after you measured, we talked about having 10 temperatures, you could take those 10 temperatures and store them into a text file, and then come back later and read those back out of the text file and see those values. Another one that students will often choose is the user programming, so that the user can come in and they can kind of create a little program of, say, 15, 20 lines of not C# code, but the code that you'll generate, test it out, and then save that, write that to a text file, and then come back later, read it in, and be able to execute that. All right, so that's what this mission looks like. The mission is 6 weeks long, and so we'll have a number of times, or a number of weeks to kind of take and go through this material. Let me see here. If you take a look at, I'm going to pop this checklist and study guide open real quickly. Please make sure that you do refer to these, and you'll see that this is broken down by, again, the benchmarks. It does also have all of the mind tap exercises and the quizzes that are going to be associated with this mission. 6 weeks long, got a kind of a good size list of keywords, concepts that we're going to talk about. Okay, and then you'll see that I have the skills specifically laid out and broken down by the benchmarks, those sprints that we refer to them as. Okay, I just want to also show you quickly that we have a starter file for you here, and so this starter file does a couple things. And so let me pull that up really quickly and walk you through it, and then I'll give a more detailed view of it in the sprint one. So it's sitting out on GitHub, and if you want to download it, the easiest way to download it is to click here on the green button, download the zip file, make sure you extract it because it won't work if you don't extract it, and then extract it. And if you extract it, I'm actually going to pull up Visual Studio now. All right, you're going to see here, and it's a significantly long file. In fact, to make it even a little bit shorter, I apologize for this, but I'm going to kind of close these down, these regions, so it's a little bit easier to kind of see what we're looking at here. Oh, it's not grabbing it. Now we'll go up this way. Okay, so if we take a look at the structure that we've created, we have methods, so hopefully at this point, if not now, very, very shortly after you view this, you've gotten a feel for methods and how those methods operate. So you'll see that the main method calls a set theme method, and that just sets the colors. It also calls a display welcome screen method, a menu screen, and a closing screen. Well, the welcome screen and the closing screen, you can kind of check those out later on. They are down here as a part of the user interface. We'll talk more about that, as I said, later on. It's not letting me scroll. There we go. All right, now I'm going to scroll. And the main screen, though, is the thing I want to just really quickly bring your attention. And so you'll see it's actually a menu. And the menu has a number of items built in. You'll see that our modules are here, along with a couple other connect and disconnect and quit. Okay, and you'll see what we've done is we snag the user's choice, which is a simple character, a letter, and then we have a switch case. And as you can see here, we have it wired up to a method that we call if they choose A to connect to the Finch, and if they choose B, and rather than going right to a method that does stuff, we actually go to this menu screen. And now if I scroll down, and let me reiterate here, it's going to be very, very important that when you work on this mission and these 5 sprints, these 5 modules, that you stay very organized. And so you can see that I used a region here, and if I expand that region, you'll see that I have the talent show menu. And if you take a look at the structure of that menu, you're going to see that that menu is laid out just like the other menu. Lots of blank spaces here because I'm going to let you kind of fill in your own. I've supplied one method, so this is an example. Here's a display light and sound method. And if we come down here, you can see here's our display light and sound, and I've got the Finch doing some things. You can kind of take a look at that later. So this is a great starter solution. So I encourage you to go ahead and download that and use it if you like. You are more than welcome. If you have a different structure, you're more than welcome to come up with something on your own. Periodically, I have students who will develop their own menuing system. Sometimes they get a little more sophisticated. This is a very simple menu system. Please feel free to develop it as you would like and have some fun with this. So go ahead and expand beyond what I'm asking in this method. I'm sorry, in this mission. So again, this is mission 3, robotic systems. Good for about 6 weeks or so. As always, if you have any questions, get back to me ASAP, and have a good day.